Hello teachers, and welcome to Give Me 5 Book 1 Unit 1, our MiniTUT series, and this is Lesson 1. Lesson 1 means vocabulary. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the vocabulary for our Book 1 Unit 1, and to contextualize, let's take a look at our 2 pages. Now, what you will see immediately is that the vocabulary is the classroom objects. Now this makes a lot of sense because a lot of our students are going to be brand new to English. Some of them are going to have some kind of a foundation, but many of them wouldn't have done the starters book yet. So it's important for us to be able to get our students very comfortable and familiar. So even if some of the words seem quite easy to some of them, not everybody is going to have a command of English. That's one thing. Then the other thing that you need to really consider as a teacher is that our students at this stage need to be able to enunciate, okay? They need to be able to enunciate every single syllable of all of these very easy words. Enunciate, why? Because we need to focus on our pronunciation, okay? And if we pronounce our words properly, we can then speak these words properly, we spell these words properly, and we can definitely then memorize our spelling, okay? So the point is this. We need to focus on these aspects more than we need to necessarily focus on what that vocabulary is. So we need to challenge our students in this particular way in order to reach these goals. They need to speak, spell, and memorize these words, not just look at them. So while many of the students might be able to recognize the picture and say the word, you have to make sure that they're enunciating every single syllable. Pronunciation is great. Speaking, spelling, and then memorization will then have to follow. So that is your job, more than it is simply just going over the vocabulary. So, I'll throw the words up on the chalkboard. I'll write down B-O-O-K, and the kids will then shout out book, P-E-N, and then pen, R-U-B-B-E-R, and the kids will shout out rubber. So on and so forth. Now, with these 5 words, I might play a few games. I'll have team number 1, they'll get some points. Team number 2 will get some of these points over here. Team number 3, I will choose maybe these 3 words. And team number 4, okay, fine, they will choose these 3 over there. Now, I might mix it around a little bit because I want to keep my students on their toes. I don't want to teach it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3. Our students are able to anticipate the pattern. They will get bored very quickly, and then they will start to act up, and classroom control then becomes very difficult. So make sure you switch it up a bit, make it kind of exciting, and break their expectation with regards to how you are presenting that content. So once we've got those 5 words up on the board, we can then move on to the next 5 words. And as you will see, these next 5 words are a little bit more complex. They've got more syllables in them. So for example, crayon, sharpener, computer, etc., etc. Okay, it becomes a little bit more complex. And if you really feel that these 5 words are far too simple, then you can always elicit some more words from your students. And then you could have these 5 words as your target, and you could have an extra 5 words, such as, for example, sellotape, if you have to have sellotape. You could have a stapler. You could have a protractor. I'm sure the kids are not using it just yet. And you could maybe even have a calculator. Calculator. So my meaning is this. If you really have to extend, you could elicit some of the words maybe in their home language. You could write down the English on the board, write it down in your lesson plan, and use these words as your target. But I think that the words that are in the book are enough, okay? Because as I've said before, your objectives are clear enunciation, good pronunciation, then speaking, spelling, and memorization. So keep that in mind. So once our kids have got all of the words on the board, you could then just choose, let's say, for example, these 4 randomly. These kids will say the words. These ones over here. Team number 4 can do it. These words over here. Team number 3 can do it. And then, for example, these words over here. Team number 2 can do it. And you can give them points and various, whatever. If you really want to pick up some of the weaker students, you ask one of your weaker students to stand up. All right, Bob, stand up. Bob stands up. Bob, I want you to read this one, this one, this one. Okay, good job, Bob. Sit down. Bob sits down. All right, Sally, stand up, please. Sally stands up. Sally, this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, Sally sits down. And of course, you must give Sally her point. And of course, you must give Bob his individual points as well. Okay, so I'm now satisfied that the whole class is able to read these words and recognize them quite well. Now, there is a small possibility that they can read them or they can kind of repeat after the teacher, but they've forgotten what the actual word means. In which case, you're going to throw up the flashcards. So I'm going to throw up the flashcards, and then I'm going to, one more time, I'm going to write down the syllables. I'll say, all right, boys and girls, crayon, cray-on. Good job. Sharpener, sharpener. Good job. Computer, da, da, da. School bag. Now I know that this could just be one syllable, school bag. However, for my kids, their ending sounds are not so great. So for me, I have just now broken it up into school bag. But whatever, up to you. Next one, pencil case. Okay, that's easy. Now I asked Bob and Sally. I might ask, let's say, Jeff. Jeff, stand up. Jeff reads this one, this one, this one. Good job, Jeff. You get a point, +1. Sit down. And Jim, stand up, please. Jim stands up. Jim, this one, this one, this one. Okay, good. Jim gets +1, and then Jim sits down. Okay, so do it with as many students as you want to. That's up to you. Now, I'm satisfied that my students have really got a strong sense of how the words are broken up. And because they've got a strong sense, they've listened to the teacher a million times, they have said the word a million times. Now I'm going to move on to the next step of this, and that is going to now be to ask the kids to write. Now you can do this in many different ways. I might have something fun, for example, team number 1 and team number 4. So I'll have a student in team number 1 and I'll have a student in team number 4 stand up. And I'll then say, all right, team number 1, team number 4, ready, 3, 2, 1, go. Write computer. Then of course they're going to write down computer. And as you can see, they're writing it down in the syllables. And this, I'm sorry, not T, ter. And this way the kids are able to view, they can look at the board, so they can look at the board over here, and they can simply just copy down. Whoever is the winner, yay! Team number 4, you're the winner. You get 2 points because it was correct, and the words are very neat. Okay, so you get, maybe you can get 3, okay? The word, and it has to be neat and correct. So they get 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, team number 1, you guys have got it correctly, but this is really, really ugly, so I'm not going to give you the point. So I'm only going to give you guys 2, 1, 2. Okay? You will then play it with the next team, right? Team number 2 and team number 4. Team number 2 stand up, team number 2 stands up, team number 4 stands up. All right, next one, crayon. Crayon. Next one, crayon. All right, beautiful. Team number 3, that was beautiful. It's correct and it looks beautiful. I give you 1, 2. Team number 2, it looks okay, but I'm going to give you 1. Something like this. Okay, now once you've gone through as many words as you want to, or as many students as you want to, you could make it a little bit more tricky. And how do you do that? Easy. You take away the flashcards. And now the kids would have to then think, oh my goodness me, what was a crayon? What was that? And you can get one of your students to stand up, because since you've modeled it already, one of your students will be over here, and he or she will be then the little teacher, and then he or she would then say to his friends, all right, stand up, please, and then you guys now have to write it down. All right, fine. Pencil case, and they won't write down. All right, pencil case. Pencil case. And of course, this student will then say how many points this team gets. Does this team get 3, or does this team get 2? Who knows? Okay, it's up to the student. And so then you can rotate your students. Now they're speaking, they're listening to each other, and then they're writing it down all over again, which is really fantastic. Now, once you've done it that way, you can even make it more tricky, and that is to then not only take away the flashcards, but you then take away the syllables. Oh my goodness me, that's now gone. And you repeat the exact same game. And of course, you can imagine, if you really want to make it pretty tough, you can then not only take away how the words are broken up into the syllables, but you can take away the words altogether. And so now it becomes a real challenge for your students. Good grief. And in a really great way, you've now helped them to understand how they need to memorize these words. They will go home and eventually they're going to have a spelling test. And this is a great way for them to be able to practice. Anyway, teachers, thank you very much for watching this clip. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you apply some of these activities in your own classroom. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd love to know. If you have any comments or compliments, I would love to know as well. Let me know how it goes in your class. I'm dying to know. Anyway, I'll see you in the next clip. Thanks very much, and until then, happy teaching.